Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to the final episode of RB Debrecen. Today we are doing something obviously a little bit different. Now the series is over, we are going to retire from the club and move the club on a few years. We'll go 5 years, then 10 years, just to see kind of how they progress, if they manage to do what we managed and get a European trophy once again, and kind of where the players go. Is it kind of going to be a free-for-all and players leaving, or are they going to be able to hold on to some of those key players that got us to that final and won us the trophy? We'll have to see. So here we go. I will now go to my contract and resign. There we have it. I have now resigned from RB Debrecen. It'll be interesting to see who their manager will be and where they go next. So here we are, 5 years on, 2035. They have won another trophy very comfortably, and Gennaro Gattuso is the manager. Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe not very good. And here we have, there are a few players still hanging around that I can see. So the first one that stands out is Vinicius. He is still around at the club, which is very, very good to see. Was quality for us during the seasons we were there, and it looks like he's stuck around and performed at the highest level he possibly can since then as well. And we had, I mean, it's a weird position for it to be in, Adel Gerson on this left hand side as a winger, but he's stuck around at the club as well following that move from Barcelona. He has been at the club for a long time. Last season not done too well, but other than that, looking pretty good. Oh, and look, Nicholas is there as well still. Player we signed from Gremio. He was a youngster when we first signed it. He's wanted by Tottenham, so could be a big money move on the horizon, but he's still banging in goals for them. Absolutely fantastic to see. But yeah, so that's absolutely great. Still playing a 4-2-3-1 formation, which is very, very good. It doesn't look like they've got any more Europa League trophies there at all. Oh, just made me jump. The dog came in. Dominik Szoboszlai is now an icon or a Hall of Famer for the club. Currently at Juventus, 34 years old now. Hasn't played very well for Juventus since joining them, but obviously did very well for Debrecen during the few years after signing as well, which is good to see. We can also see down here, Luke Thomas is an Hall of Famer, an icon who did leave just before we went on that winning Europa League run to Watford for 8.5 million. Did okay there, but is now at Auxerre. Hasn't quite done as well. And Cristiano there as well. He's at Paris Saint-Germain. He is listed for 30 million now, and he's wanted by Milan. But a player that looks very, very good indeed. £37 million he was signed for PSG. So, I mean, a player that certainly made the club some money, absolutely. And one that's, I mean, hasn't played enough for PSG, I don't think. He's certainly a player that could do that a bit more. Let's take a look, though, at the previous. If we go to histories and we go to competitions, we can see, obviously, there was Europa League. They came runner-up in the Super Cup that year. Since we did left, because we left in the 2030 season, they have won every season, it looks like. Since then, we can just double check that. Yeah, look at that. You can see absolutely demolishing the league for sure. We can also see the Mackey Cooper Cup as well. It looks like they might have won almost every one of that as well. Pretty much so. They won recently against Frankfurt 3-2 in that as well, which is good to see. So they're doing very, very well in regards to that. They did win I didn't even know we won the Under-19s Champions Cup back then. But there you go. 25-26 was obviously the year for us in the Youth League. But some great results. Absolutely fantastic results for sure. Generally, how are things looking? As we can see, Gennaro Gattuso is a favoured person now. We are up there in the Legends section as well, which is great to see. We're deemed as a legend, which I think is fair. Nicholas is also seen as a legend, which is nice. Francisco Amado as well, though. He was off to Inter Milan, £45.5 million for that one. I mean, what a what a sale that is. He still looks a pretty decent player as well. And then obviously Gennaro Gattuso, who's the current manager, doing pretty well for them as well. Well, let's take a look at the transfer history, see if there is any big names that did end up leaving the club. So we'll go back to where we were, and this is the season after. So what sort of transfers were made straight away? Roberto Bautista went to Paris Saint-Germain for 96 million. He was wanted by a lot of clubs, not surprising, but the amount of money that they spent on him, 96 million, that's a 90 million pound profit. That was incredible. Gleison Wilson went off to Real Madrid as well. Now valued at 70 million, a big profit there as well, which is good to see. If they are sending them, at least get some profit for them. Nildo went off to Atletico, now at Cadiz, following that move, which didn't work out at all for him, unfortunately. Julio Cortez went to Lyon. Mezier went to Aston Villa. Sandri left. Oh, that's so sad. He went to Eibar. Oh, a player that was absolutely brilliant for us for so many years. From the beginning, he joined, and that was it. But made 78 caps for Hungary, though, which is quite interesting to see. We've also got De La Fuente, went off to Norwich. Vachal went off to Ascoli. Jedlicka, Ferrovar, Luizinho, Rene, a few of these players. Eminem went to Gremio. That's an interesting place to go for the Croatian. He's now at Zenit, St. Petersburg. So didn't play at all in Brazil. Obviously didn't settle down very well there. But you can see there was obviously a bunch of players as well that seemed to go out on loan, everything like that. If we go on another year, is there any more big names that have left us in that time frame? Alacron went for 49 million overall to Wolves. Quite the sale there. Amado, as we've seen, and Cristiano. Puskas went to Inter as well. Arteaga went to Porto. Sneddon was sold to Birmingham. Bassetti to Chapecoense. That's an interesting one. Tamas Sodelsi, who was the striker who was coming through the club's youth system, who looks very, very good. Went off to Southampton and then moved to Sheffield United in the Championship. So he's moved over to England. Otherwise, nothing too drastic there. Next is the next season. Komlenovic went to Bournemouth for £14 million. A good, 19 in the end for them. He's performed pretty well. He was a good little player for us in that season that we got the Europa League. Absolutely. Vukicevic as well. Vukovsky, all in there as well for transfers in that front. Jimmy Ruffin, who's obviously a player that they signed when we'd left, was sold for 69 million. I mean, that's not a bad turnaround as well. 38 million pounds, even though he didn't play too much. But a profit is profit at the end of the day. I think we are coming to the point now where less and less people or players are ones that we recognise. But we will jump another 5 years just to take a look at if they've continued to win the league, if there's been any difference at all as to how the performances have been, and we'll go from there. But we'll jump another 5 years now. All right, so there has been a change in manager. Fabio Cannavaro has now come in there. It looks like they might have just won the OTP Bank Liga again and again and again. They've been undefeated in that for at least the last 15 years, I think it is. I mean, talk about domination. They've moved up to 10th in the overall standings as well, which is quite nice to see. I might take a look at the kind of competitions they've been in and how that's gone. And kind of the records as well. I think that's all good stuff to take a look at. With that, though, let's take a look at the award winners, actually, in the league. How many of the original players were there? So, Debrecen-wise, Nascimento, Sanchez, Newton have all won the, which looks like most player of the match awards. But if we take a look at the player of the year, there's a lot of Debrecen players in there. Obviously, earlier on, we saw Kalmar win it, with Renier up there as well. Ivane in there as well there. Daily Sinkgraven and Kalmar. Luke Thomas getting it along with Jesmin Erak, who I wonder where he is at now. He's at Juventus, 33 years of age now, which is interesting to see. Cristiano as well, he won it there. Is he still at PSG? No, he did move to Amiens, and he has got a transfer in the line to move there permanently. it looks like, after maybe being on loan there from Napoli. Amado as well, he's at Besiktas now. Dan Lewis, though, he was a player that came in on loan for us. He's at Osasuna, another player that won the league, a European title with us. Vinicius, Amado, Szoboszlai as well in there, who's another player that won, who won it the year last year we were there. But now we go on to the years that we weren't. And Amado and Nicholas won it 3 years running, who was absolutely phenomenal. He went to Schalke in the end for £38 million following a move from Arsenal for 67. So, I mean, he's been very, very, very good. Absolutely. But let's take a little look at things here at the club itself. So let's take a look at the best 11, see if there's any of our players still in there and kind of what's happened. So Vinicius is at the centre-half position, who's now at West Ham, and Adogerson as well, who's at Leicester. So both in the Premier League, or believed to be the Premier League. Amado, we saw, was at Besiktas. Szoboszlai has now retired by the looks of things following his move to Juventus, and was at Copenhagen for a little bit as well. Bautista is up there, still at PSG. Great player. Cristiano as well, as we saw, and then Nicholas up top for Schalke. The other players we aren't quite aware of. But on the bench, there is Songa Puskas, who's at Inter Milan. Luke Thomas, who we saw. Zolt Kalmar, who obviously retired following him leaving to Lummo. And Sandri, who's went to Krasnodar following Ibar. So a good few players in there that it's nice to see that they're still there. Records-wise, we could take a look at the overview. Nicholas has got the most league goals by a player at 88. Goals by a player in the season is Caio Jorge still. Sandri with most appearances, which is good to see. Mostly goals by a player in a season is 24 there as well. Then we've got the highest average rating was Nicholas. I mean, he seems to have really taken flight. Tamas Bogar, a player that no longer can be clicked on, having made his debut, then was the youngest player for the club. Roque Santa Cruz, obviously a player who's now a coach at Manchester City following leaving us as an under-19s coach, which is interesting. He was the oldest player at the club and having played for him. Jorge Arteaga, who is now at Murcia, also getting that. Hugo Novoa, who has retired following a move away. We saw that him move to Murcia in our time at the club, but he went on to Espanyol, Arsenal, Tula and Granada as well. Hope he did quite well as well there. Crono de la Fuente also left. We saw him go to Norwich, but he's moved on to Leicester and Atalanta, retiring at 36 years old. He got most assists, most players in a league match. Most goals, most players in the league match. And Szoboszlai as well, getting the most assists by a player in a season. Youngest goal scorer with Vivaldi Mayasi, who's still playing. Let's take a little look at him. It seems to be at Kisvada still, which I think he was at some point whilst we were here. 32 years old now. He has been listed for £200,000. He moved to MTK for £950,000 following us selling him for £250 to Ujpest, and then went to Kisvada, where he's played for a while. Didn't quite live up to his kind of hopes. He did play 5 times for DR Congo, though, which is interesting to see. Not one that I'd have necessarily expected. But there's the record transfer fee paid. We paid £162 million for Dominic Szoboszlai. I mean, it got us the Europa League trophy, so I'm happy with that. And the biggest sale was £95 million for Roberto Bautista. Total transfer spend, £247 million. Most of that's probably us in the end. Biggest win was the 12-0 win over Esztergom. What a win that was. I don't even remember that at all. But Zagacheta was in there. How's he got on? He's at Catania now. Done very well. He went off to Juve for £71 million. Played a good few seasons there, did very well, dropped off completely, but now finding a resurgence at Catania. And other than that, we can see Salai obviously retired a couple of years after we left, following being dropped down a few divisions. Demokos at Real Sociedad. It's quite interesting to see all these players that used to play for us. Dalibor Santalab, a player that did well for us for those seasons. Got us a good bit of money for him, £6 million. Played in Germany for the rest of his career. So a lot of players in here that are very interesting. A 12-0 win though there. We did lose 10-1. Can't see that one to PSG in the Champions League. We don't really want to talk about that. Highest scoring match was a 6-7 game against MTK. I mean, what a game I'm sure that was. And we won on aggregate in the Magyar Cooper Cup. What a game. Caio Jorge left DL Pro in the end and moved to Olympiacos for a few games before retiring. Robertson, how's he got on? He's at Toronto now. Interesting to see, following his time at Bournemouth and Crystal Palace. Eminem, obviously, here as well. Still at Zenit, following his move. Played a lot there as well for them. Bassetti, he's at Dynamo Moscow now, following his time in Brazil, which is, again, Brazil is an interesting place. We obviously bring him in and get rid of him out there. Ajan Muric, who came in for a little while for us, played a season, obviously moved around a little bit there as well by the looks of things. But overall, not a bad little performance after we've left, really. League positions, you can just see first in every single one. Every single season we came first in the league. Division 2 got promoted and then was just first for all of them. That's not bad. Lowest league position was obviously very different because it's going to be the lowest, so that's how it works. Idiot. But you can see that it looks like the stadium is now being filled out. Since we won the Europa League, it seems to be filling out a lot more, getting those attendances up, which is very good. Highest gate receipts, 126,000. They've obviously boosted the numbers. Lowest attendance, looks like they may be in the cup competitions and the lower games, but still hitting nearly double digits now, every single one. Average attendance, though, 18,000. It's shot up since the first season, which is great to see. The club's obviously developed a lot in that time. Sequences, most matches won. Most was 17 matches, which is very good. Most overall goals by a player in a season. Nicholas, you can see in there, getting loads and loads of goals. What a season Caio Jorge had, though, in the 24-25 season, with 34 in there. But yeah, I mean, youngest players, obviously there's a few players in here. Agustin Beignet, how's he do? He ended up retiring. Gaël Martin as well. He was a player that had a bit of promise, 34 years old now, though. Played all his time in Hungary with a few in the second division. But I think we will leave it there. I'll probably have a little look through a bit more because it's always a bit exciting to see some of the older players. But I hope you did enjoy. I hope it didn't drag out too long. I got a bit carried away there, I think. But it was good fun to take a look at, see how they did without us and kind of what base we gave them. But hope you did enjoy. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you in the next one, ready for the new save that will be coming out very, very soon. See you then.